terribly confident about that one. Okay, hands up who's running on Saturday. I assume we're nearly all running. How many of you had to turn up 2 days before your marathon to do an inspection before? Okay, fairly unusual, but I can guarantee by the time your experience finishes with the gala dinner on Sunday night that you'll really appreciate how important today has been for you to get a briefing on what's going to happen on Saturday, and also give you a great opportunity to get your photographs on the wall and whatever. Use those selfie sticks today, because I don't think we want to see them on the wall on Saturday. But enjoy your time with them today. Now, the order of proceedings for today, my briefing will probably take 30 minutes or so. We'll then return to the buses. The buses will take us up to the wall. And the part of the wall that you run on is actually back this way, not the wall that many of you can see over there. The buses will take you up to the wall. You will then walk the part of the wall that you'll run on Saturday, and you eventually finish up back here in Yin and Yang Square. Have lunch here, and then soon after lunch the buses will start returning to wherever your accommodation is tonight, whether that be Beijing, Jishan or Pinju. First of all, just a little bit of history about the Great Wall Marathon. It was founded back in 1999 by Søren Rasmussen from Albatross Travel in Denmark, and still owned, managed, coordinated by Albatross in conjunction with Culture Stone Travel, the Culture Stone events here in China. So representatives from both Albatross and Culture Stone are here today. So how about a round of applause for the work that they've done to make this such a great event over the last 16 years. You're sitting in Yin and Yang Square, and this is where many of the things will happen on Saturday. It's where you'll start and finish your run. It's where you store your gear. It's where you can seek any information you need, find the toilets, and also, if you need it, seek medical assistance. We have a capacity field of over 2,500 runners on Saturday. To be precise, this time we're 2,515 from almost 70 different countries. So thanks everybody for your support. Great to see such an international gathering. At the moment, 926 of you are doing the marathon. 1,081 and a half. And 508 are doing the fun run. It doesn't matter which event you're doing, my comments will be relevant. And I want to now just walk you through the three courses so that it gives you a better understanding of what will happen on Saturday. First of all, marathon runners. The marathon will start in 4 waves on Saturday. First wave 7:30, then 10-minute intervals 7:30, 7:40, 7:50, 8 a.m. And your bib number will have on there which wave you're in. Last year we actually spread the waves out a little bit more, gave a little bit more time between each of the waves. We found it greatly reduced the bottlenecks that we can get on the wall. The wall is very narrow in parts, as you'll see today. So with that wave start, I think we can guarantee you'll have a pretty trouble-free run getting across the wall on Saturday. Now the marathon is broadly divided into 5 sections. First of all, you run, as I said, starts in Yin and Yang Square. You run up a sealed road for 5 kilometres to the start of the wall. Stage 2, you then run across the wall from east to west. That's the east. west out this way. So you run across the wall and then around the fort, which we're sitting in at the moment, so along the, behind the bricks right around this fort. Stage 3, after you come back through Yin and Yang Square, stage 3 is down in the villages. You do about 26 kilometres down through the villages. Everybody comes here looking forward to running on the Great Wall, but I can assure you when the run's over on Saturday, you'll say that one of the most fantastic parts of this run was actually running through these very ancient villages and enjoying the village culture down there. Marathoners, when you get back from your 26 kilometres around the village, you'll come back through the square and head for the wall a second time. And this time you do the wall from west to east, which for those, particularly on this side who can see, that means you climb up what we call the goat track to the tower at the top of that hill. Doesn't sound hard, but it's okay. You've only done 34 kilometres at that stage. And what I call stage 5, to finish the race, you'll emerge at the eastern end of the wall and run the 5 kilometres back down the hill that you did uphill at the start. So marathon runners, that's your course. Half marathon runners. Half marathon runners, exactly the same start as the marathon, up the hill, across the wall, back through the square, and then you go down into the villages for about 12.5 kilometres on the village roads. It's a combination of sealed roads, really old rocky roads, all sorts of surfaces, so you can experience all sorts of things when you're out there. But good news for the half marathoners, when you get back into the square, your race is over, you run to the finish line. And those doing the fun run, really easy now, up the hill, across the wall, and when you get back into the square, you've finished. Now, that's probably all very confusing, people seeing this for the first time, and I assume most of you are running the Great Wall for the first time. So, we've got 3 volunteers, Fran, Alison and Lars, who will demonstrate for you. Fran's in the black t-shirt because she's running the marathon. All marathon runners, everything is colour-coded, so your bibs will be black. Alison's doing the half in the red bibs, and Lars, we're taking it easy on Lars. He's running the Copenhagen Marathon next week, so he's only going to do the fun run today. Okay, so they're on the start line, gun fires, away you go. So all of them, let them start together, no way to start. So they go out through a tunnel there. That tunnel is only accessible to runners. All of the spectators and getting in and out for you, you come in the way you came today. So the runners are now heading out, starting their climb up the hill. Go up the hill, run all the way across the wall, right around the fort, and after they've done a lap of the fort, they then emerge from these steps just over here, and we'll bring the fun run in first, so that will be Lars. Lars comes down the steps, runs to the finish line, down Lars. And capturing everybody at the finish line are the photographers, marathon photos, marathonphotos.com. They'll be all over the course on Saturday. You can recognise them from their vests that Alec is going to show off to the crowd. So when you see the marathonphotos.com vests, wave, show off, do whatever you so you can get some good photographs. Okay, now there are still runners out on the course. So Fran and Alison have run across the wall together. They're going to now come into the square, and they just run alongside of these tents. They've now got to head down to the villages. So they've done about 8.5 kilometres at this stage, back out through the tunnel. So Alison will be back first because she's only got 12.5 kilometres to cover. Alison comes back, doing the half marathon, runs to the finish line. Well done, Alison. Another half marathon completed. Now Fran's doing the marathon. She's had a 26-kilometre run around the villages. She comes back into the square and run across in front of the tent. She has to go back to the wall for a second time. So she up the steps, and when she gets up the steps, she will get over to the tower here, and she will be given a green wristband. So all marathon runners, when you head to the wall for a second time, get a wristband and you need to put it on. I'll tell you why in a moment. Okay, so Fran's now heading across the wall from west to east, 5-kilometre run down the road, and when she returns this time, she can run to the finish line. So marathoners coming back this way. Marathon photos. Capture Fran finishing the marathon. Well done, Fran. You'll notice Fran waved her arm when she was coming in. Make sure the officials outside the gate see your wristband. If you don't show the wristband, they will direct you up the wall for a third time. Every year somebody wants to do it a third time. You're most welcome, but it's going to be hot on Saturday. It's not highly recommended. Okay, so thanks Fran, Alison and Lars for that demonstration. Hope that helps you a little bit more for Saturday. Okay, there are only 2 time limits in this event, and they apply to the marathon runners. The first time limit is back in this square after you've done the lap through the villages, so you get back here at about 34.5 kilometres, and you've got to be here by 2 p.m, which is 6 hours after the last wave, after wave 4 starts. If you don't make it back here by 2 p.m, the gate to the wall is closed, so we won't allow you to continue. And I can guarantee if you're not here by 2 o'clock, there's no way you'll get back here and make the final cut-off, which is at 4 o'clock, 8 hours in this square. So I'll talk a little bit more later about changing events, but if you are somebody who's really borderline on whether you can do this event in 8 hours, and maybe you can make that assessment after you've walked the wall today, seriously consider downgrading to the half marathon. Anybody who does beat the 2 o'clock deadline, gets onto the wall, but doesn't get back here in 8 hours, they will receive a medal, but they're not recorded, there's no time recorded for them. And normally we also, once you get back onto the wall, we pick people up in cars and bring them back. So that's not a fun way to finish a marathon. So again, if you are around that 8-hour cut-off, give some serious consideration to what event you do participate in on Saturday. All right, now talking about course services, we have all the normal sorts of services out here in rural China that you'd expect at any of the big city marathons. I did mention before, first, everything is colour-coded. So you saw Fran had black for the marathon, Alison had red for the half, and Lars green for the fun run. So all of your bib numbers, don't have to wear those coloured shirts, but all your bib numbers have those colours. And if I could get some help, first I'd like to introduce our athletics team at the race officials table, and they can show you some of the signage that we have on Saturday. Erling, if you could bring out a sign first, whatever you choose. Now, Erling's making his way forward with many signs. Erling's part of the original crew here in 1999, and he tells us that he's going to retire this year, so he's given 16 years of fantastic service to the Great Wall Marathon, along with his wife Anne Marie. So Big round of applause and management for Erling. Erling's holding a very important sign, particularly for half marathon runners. There's only one spot on the course down in one of the southern villages where the marathon and the half marathon diverge. Half marathoners take the left arrow, take the right arrow, and you're facing 42.195 kilometres. So thanks, Erling. Now, Henrik Jorgensen, winner of the 1988 London Marathon, Danish record holder for the marathon. So you're in good company. He's got in his far right will be the arrows that we use for the first part of the course, because the marathon, half marathon and fun run are all the same course. Then in the middle is a red arrow, so once the half marathoners diverge at about 14 kilometres into the run, you'll just follow the red arrows to get home. And for the people doing the full marathon, the black arrows, so that's just an example of a right turn. And Ule is going to show you our kilometre signs. We have signs around the course for every kilometre, and each kilometre mark is also, we have the equivalent in miles. So the first one, 2 kilometres, it's got a black, red and green band, so that applies to all 3 races, and that converts to 1.24 miles. 14 kilometres is just for the half marathoners, because they'll be on their own by that time. Converts to 8.7 miles. And the marathon runners, by the time you get to 23, obviously that only applies to you, so the black band for the marathon runners and the mile conversion, 14.29. So we've also, to help you around the course on Saturday, we have many local guides, marshals around the course. Henry, could you grab some of the tape, please? We also mark some of the corners with this Albatross Events tape. So just look for that tape around the course on any of the key corners. Very, very difficult to get lost. In fact, nobody gets lost out there. We mark the course so well. There are also a diminishing number of areas where it's dirt road, and we actually mark some corners with white flour on the roads. I say a diminishing number of areas where they do that because each year we come back and there are more and more improvements on the course, and more of the course is turning into concrete rather than the good old rocky dirt roads that we rather like. Okay, so thanks to our athletics team for demonstrating that. Next to the athletics team, we have our timing team. You'll all be timed using RFID chip technology on Saturday, and that's the chip is built into your bib. So make sure everybody wear the bib, the big bib with the chip on the front of your vest. There's a second number that you'll get in your race pack, which goes on the back of your vest. It's actually a third number you get, which also goes on your baggage. Those are the important ones. The chip on the front of your bib. We do have timing mats at various points around the course, at some of the very far extremities, to make sure that you have run the full course, and make sure that you will actually be funneled over these timing mats. Make sure you go over the timing mat, because the starting point is always, if you've missed any timing mats around the course, you don't appear in the results, you're disqualified. If for some reason there's been a problem, come back and talk to the time-taking people, and that can be resolved. But generally, what happens if people have missed any of those mats around the course, it means that they have inadvertently or other taken a shortcut. Now, I did mention earlier about changing from one race to another. After you've walked the wall today, do a serious assessment to make sure that you are in the race that suits you best. I don't recommend, in fact nobody recommends, that if you're in the fun run that you come back here and think you might upgrade to the marathon. If you do have that crazy thought, don't go to the timing people, but report to the race officials. See Erling. One of Erling's final duties will be to assess you and see whether he thinks that you could be upgraded to the marathon. Every year though, there are quite a number of people who downgrade from the marathon to the half, and what may seem surprising after walking across the wall, there's often more people who upgrade from the half to the marathon. So have a think about that, and do that when you get back into the square today after doing your walk. The other important service, of course, or another important service, is fluid. It's going to be could be quite warm on Saturday. We have 28 drink stations out there for the marathon. We have 65,000 bottles of water to be distributed by our water sponsor, who are also sponsoring all of these tents. So 65,000 bottles of water to be distributed around the course. There will be plenty of water. Just make sure that you keep well hydrated. Some stations also, and this is in your race guide, if you haven't already got it, will be with your race bibs and whatever, but you'll all get a printed copy of your race guide. Inside that race guide is a course map, and that shows you where the drink stations are. That will probably be a bit meaningless to you, but it does show you what distances. We have an energy drink, which is GU, G-U, well-known energy drink, certainly in USA and Australia and I think Europe. So GU energy drink, and we also have I think GU gels, don't we, at some of the spots around the course. And again, that's marked on that map. Post-race, there are showers available if you want to shower before you head back to your accommodation in Beijing, and they are behind the Marathon Tours and Travel sign in this quadrangle. Is actually where all we race officials are staying. That's our accommodation. We'll move out of there before the race on Saturday, and there will be showers. Can't promise they're hot, but they may be. Some rooms seem to have hot water, some don't. Or some have hot water at different times of the day. But anyway, it'll be a warm day, a cold shower will be good. There's also a free massage for people who've done the marathon, or any of the events I think. And I think in your race pack you actually get a ticket for the massage, but the massage facilities are on your way back to the buses just as you walk into this area. Those facilities will be set up on Saturday. Now, one of the most important facilities that all racers need is good medical facilities. And we do that here. I'd like to introduce to our medical team, group of doctors, nurses from Denmark and from China, quite a large medical team. They've got their time every year to come here and look after your well-being. There's some notes in your race guide, some medical instructions. The medical team have asked that I just say a few things before we wrap up today. First of all, and I've mentioned this several times, and it's appropriate that the water bottles are racing across in front of us here. Hydration. Make sure you remain hydrated. Between now and Saturday, I recommend, particularly if you're running the marathon and it's going to be warm, avoid alcohol because it's only going to dehydrate you. Drink plenty of the bottled water. I see people doing that now. The doctors recommend on Friday night, drink one or more litres of water or a sports energy drink. And then here on Saturday morning in the sort of half hour to an hour before the race. Take down another half litre or so. And then when you get into the run, drink early in the run. Particularly in warm races, we always say that if you've got to the point where you're thirsty, it's too late. You've already done some damage, so drink early in the race. No doubt people will often at the start, it can be quite cold here on race morning. The temperature this morning was only about 14 degrees, which was not particularly cold, and the forecast for Saturday is about the same, I think, minimum of about 14 through to about 26. So quite a warmish day. Dress appropriately, wear some light, breathable clothing. If you do find 14 degrees cool and you need a heavier top or gloves or whatever, wear something you can just take off or throw away as you proceed around the course. Now the second warning is about danger, and you'll note that today when you walk across the wall, lots and lots of steps, 5,164 I think the t-shirts say. Lots and lots of steps, they're very uneven. Take great caution as you're crossing that wall. Some steps are like a normal staircase you'll find anywhere. Other steps are quite steep and narrow, and there's all sorts of varieties. Some are quite rocky. You'll get a good look at it today. Take care on Saturday. We've never had any real disasters up on that wall. We want that to remain. It's not as though we have helicopters or anything to rescue anybody up there. The only way that you can get off that wall is for the medical team to get up there with stretchers and get you down. And they're a great group of people. We don't want to put them to that pressure on Saturday. So be very careful. Also, a word of warning, when you are down in the villages or heading down on that for the half marathon as your 12k down in the villages, or the 26k for the marathon runners, quite a few rocky sections where you could easily trip and fall over, so again, take great care. Third warning is diarrhoea, about the food you might intake between now and Saturday. Just be very careful that you look after yourself between now and Saturday, because if dehydration doesn't get you, or the danger of the wall, there's always the factor that you could have something to eat over the next 48 hours that will impact on you even starting the event. The medical team's advice is to prevent diarrhoea, cook it, boil it, peel it, or forget it. Now hopefully everybody here has arrived in top shape to run the marathon, half or the fun run, but I'm sure there'll be a few who might have some niggles of some sort. Our medical team's not here to sort out your existing medical issues, but if you do have a problem and you want to talk to them about it and get some sort of strategy on what you'll do on Saturday, maybe if you've got an issue and you want to downgrade from the marathon to the half or something, when we finished our walk today, the medical team will be there for you to discuss, I won't say consultation, but for you to discuss it with the medical team. And finally, on the medical side, nobody gets taken to a Chinese hospital without one of the Danish doctors giving the okay. We do have a medical facility, quite a good field hospital set up just in the back here. So most years we cater, our medical team does a fantastic job of catering for any of your needs and emergencies. They are of course busier on hot days. It's going to be warm on Saturday. So once more, please acknowledge the medical team in anticipation of the work they'll do on Saturday. Now the vast majority of you are doing this for the first time. There'll be a few, who's done it more than once? Yeah, there's always a sprinkling of people who come back for the second round of punishment. But one special guy, Mr. Great Wall Marathon himself, Henrik Brandt. Henrik's down here. Henrik is back doing his 16th consecutive Great Wall Marathon. I think Henrik's one of these people with an existing injury, so have a bit of a chat to the medical people while you're there. Henrik can get a strategy for Saturday. Henrik wrote a book last year about his experiences at the Great Wall Marathon. It's a great read, and he will be selling, well, he is selling that book now, right where he's standing alongside of that banner. So really worthwhile getting hold of that and doing a quick read, help you see what you're in for on Saturday. Now, just a note about awards. We do recognise it's not the New York City Marathon or the London Marathon with 100,000 US for the winner or something. This is very much a recreational race for people like yourselves, but we do, of course, recognise those people up front. So we have awards for the first 3 in the marathon, 3 males and females, and the first 3 in the half marathon. The fun runs, no awards or times for that one, but we recognise the marathon place getters and the half marathon place getters, and we will do those awards or endeavour to do those as soon as possible after the third woman has come in each of those categories, and we'll do them here on the stage on Saturday morning. Now, when I was talking about timing earlier, I did not mention that your times are all worked on net time, which means that your time is activated as you leave the start line. Timing mats are just at the tunnel as you go out. Your timing is activated there, except for the first 3 males and females in the marathon and the half marathon. This is a race also, so it is the first 3 over the line. So if you're in wave 2, 3 or 4 and you think we've got it wrong, that you are an elite runner and you may place in this race, go and see the athletics team and we will, if you're legitimate, upgrade you to the first wave. If you don't start in the first wave and you're going for an outright position, you're giving everybody at least a 10-minute start. So for anybody in that category, we have allocated all of your waves based on the best times that you provided in your entry details. So there shouldn't be any problems, but often somebody slips through. So again, if you are a fast runner, think you might place highly, and have been allocated for some reason to wave 2, 3 or 4, go and see the race officials after we've walked the wall. I did mention earlier, just reinforce it again, no spectator or runner access through this tunnel unless you're actually competing in your event. So even when you're finished your event, runners don't go backwards and forwards through this tunnel. That is reserved for people still participating in the event. This exit, where the exit sign is, and the iced beer sign, that's the way in and out of this area. And runners and spectators alike, you'll get an entry ticket in your race pack. Make sure you bring your entry ticket on Saturday. Your race bib doesn't get you into this area. You need your entry ticket. We've got to account for everybody and pay for everybody that comes into this area on Saturday, so those entry tickets and the processing of them is very important. Getting near the end, so just a word on courtesy. We've got access to the wall on Saturday, but this is, or can be, quite a busy tourist area, particularly amongst the local Chinese. Not many of the Westerners have found this area yet, thank goodness. But if you do find, we've got the wall for your use, but if you do see some other people on the wall, just treat them with some respect and don't go through with your elbows up and trying to cause an accident or knock anybody off the wall. Speaking of doing the right thing also, I talked about 65,000 bottles of water. We also have our energy drinks, so lots of cups. So as in any marathon, lots of garbage, lots of waste matter gets created. Please do the right thing, carry your bottles from one station to the next, so you can deposit them in bins or at the next station. Don't just throw them away, particularly don't throw anything over the edge of the wall. As you walk today, you'll see it's pretty pristine, but there have been always some idiots who do throw things off the wall, and they're just, well, they never disappear because it's plastic. Now, I've got a note here. I think some people were wanting to swap t-shirts. There'll be an opportunity to do that on Saturday while the sizes are still available. All the shirts aren't here today, so if you want to swap shirts, you can do that on Saturday. There's also, I think, Steen, the Italian film crew, did they want to say something? Or anyway, we'll see what happens with that one. And there has been reported a kidnapping. Apparently Walter's been kidnapped. And those people responsible for kidnapping Walter, could you please return Walter to Ross? Because Ross has got a photographic session on the wall with Walter. So for those people who kidnapped Walter, there's Ross in the pink cap. Ross would like Walter back. Thank you. I think that's for me. That's all from me. Thank you very much for your attention. Have a great run on Saturday. We look forward to seeing you all here, calling you in at the finish, experiencing and enjoying Saturday morning with you, and again through the Sunday night at the gala dinner, we will wrap up the experience of the 16th Great Wall Marathon. Thank you. Best wishes for Saturday. And as you leave, pick up a bottle of water.